Travis Cook here with a few words ahead of this Saturday night's show in East Carondelet, Illinois, Saturday night, August the 17th at the East Carondelet Community Center. I am not appearing on camera during this interview for a very simple reason. I'm not appearing on camera because of the incident, the violent and uncalled for incident that occurred last July in East Carondelet when Flash Flannagan lit me up with a fireball. He burned me right in the face. Something that has no place in professional wrestling and that there's just no excuse for. The result of that has been that I have lost sight in one eye and the other eye has partial vision. It is not done well for my face either. I have some issues with my face with that, so I'm not willing to appear on camera at this point. I will simply say this for Mr. Flannagan. If you look back in history, there was a time many years ago where there was a guy named the Sheik in professional wrestling. Not the Iron Sheik, but the guy that came before him, the original Sheik. And he was known for doing violent and dastardly and uncalled for things in the wrestling ring. Well, one time he was booked here in St. Louis at the Kiel Auditorium. And on that evening, the Sheik launched into an absolute violent, bloodthirsty assault. I believe it was on Pat O'Connor. And it made a mockery of professional wrestling and was simply violence for violence sake. And at the end of that match, at the end of that night, Sam Mushnick made the decision that the Sheik would never be allowed back in St. Louis again. And he wasn't. He went on to worldwide fame all over the world, but Sam Mushnick stood by his guns and never allowed the Sheik in St. Louis again because of his over-the-top violent actions. And I would think that it would do Herb Simmons and SICW well to look at history in this regard, given that Flash Flannagan committed an egregious act for which there is no excuse, no justification, and there was no provocation for it. I would hope that SICW would do the same thing and fire Flash Flannagan, never allow him back in St. Louis again, because what he did was every bit as bad or perhaps worse than what the Sheik did many years ago. And just in case Herb Simmons and his crew don't want to mete out that punishment, I have my attorneys working overtime right now to make sure that you give out such a proper punishment. So you all will be hearing about that a little bit more in the weeks and months to come. But despite my personal issues, there are other very important things still going on in SICW as far as the Travis Cook organization is concerned. What you're seeing right now is some footage of the international bounty hunter, Attilla, the man who has a shot at the Classic Wrestling Championship this Saturday night against Ricky Cruz. Ricky Cruz somehow demanded this match. I don't know if he has some kind of a fetish for self-punishment or whatever it is, but for some reason, he's not only agreed to this match, he's demanded it. Well, what you're looking at right now is Atilla taking apart the last guy that thought he had enough of a track record and a list of accomplishments to deal with him, and that is Tommy Dreamer, the ECW original, Mr. Hardcore, if you will. And you'll notice that Atilla went right through him, getting a clean pinfall. 1, 2, 3. He went right through Tommy Dreamer like X-Lax goes through a widow woman. And if you can do it to Tommy Dreamer, then Ricky Cruz, what makes you think he can't do it to you? I may not be at my best right now, but Attilla is. I may not be at my best right now, but Chris Hargis and Ken Casa, they are at their best. The Travis Cook organization is in full gear right now, regardless of the tragedy that has befallen me. And we will be there this Saturday night. And Flash Flannagan, if you're there, you may have some dues to pay. Ricky Cruz, you definitely have some dues to pay. Because he who laughs last laughs the loudest.